Another crab's treasure is a Soulslike, a type of game which I am self-admittedly terrible at, so I thought it would be fun to see how long it takes me to make my way through the game and defeat the first major boss. This would take a lot of time, effort, and so many deaths, but the discoveries I made along the way were 100% worth it. The game opens with a nature documentary talking about how we need to keep our oceans clean, which I'm sure isn't trying to touch on any real-world issues. We're then introduced to the hermit crab we'll be playing as, who has a debt-collecting toy shark informing him that he has a lot of money to pay due to tax evasion, and because he's not rich or a huge corporate company, this is truly unacceptable. I attempt to pay him off with heart kelp. It doesn't work, and instead he assaults me and takes my shell. Like any crab would, I chase after him and throw myself off the edge of a cliff. I need to stop doing that. Luckily, I land safely and continue to pursue the shark. But while doing this, I come across another crab who's possessed and wants to kill me. Having no weapons, I do the only brave option and run away. Conveniently enough, just after I escape, I find my first weapon, which is a rusty fork. I then encounter my first real enemy, which is a baby crab who is killed relatively easily. What's more concerning is my character's complete lack of empathy for the life that he's just taken. We then arrive at a moon shell, which is this game's equivalent of a bonfire. Not wanting to lose the shark though, we continue chasing him into our first open area called the Shallows, where we meet this friendly snail who gives us directions to the castle before calling us a freeloader. Wanting to be the bigger man in this situation though, I kill him immediately and try to steal his clothes. I have a tendency to do that too, but unfortunately his shell is too small to fit, so I make a beeline for the castle instead. Along the way I kill a few more enemies, and this is where I make one of the coolest discoveries about this game. They have jokes written on lollipop sticks like, "Why did the crab cross the road? Because he's a tax fugitive." Eventually, we make it to the gate and I'm greeted by two guards who inform me that I'm not wearing any clothes. They direct me to their commander, who is meant to get me something to wear and then I'll be allowed in. Making my way down, I notice that the path poles are actually cigarette butts. There's no joke here, I just thought that was a cool detail. I come across a vending machine, and like a toddler or the military industrial complex to any third world country, I hit a big glowing button without thinking of the consequences. The vending machine shoots out a bunch of cans which I can use as a shield to stop exposing myself. But by doing this I also anger the commander to the point where he wants to kill me like the other crabs he has strung up. Luckily, my new shell acts as a shield to block his attacks. And while I was worried at first, I managed to die only once to this mini boss, which is pretty good for me. After making my way back and skimming over the part where I brutally murdered their commander, I'm let into the kingdom ready to address the queen. As soon as I enter, I realise the crabs we saw strung up were actually soldiers, which made me feel less bad about the murder we just committed. I then commit a crime worse than that though and push in line, heading straight to see the queen. She explains how I need to bring her a shining pearl back before she'll give me my shell and also extend the tax. En route, I obtain a grappling hook and continue to make my way to where I was directed. Of course, not without dying though. I also came across this black puddle, which I'm sure would not come up later and make me want to end it all. Eventually, I make it down to the cave where I'm introduced to a ghost who tells me how each shell has a unique power. I make my way through the cave where I encounter another crab who I brutally murder. I'm noticing a pattern here. Luckily, he has the pearl I'm looking for on him. I unlock the ability to fast travel through this moonshell creature, and so I head straight back to the castle. When I get there, something's off though. It's like I'm in an underwater version of Silent Hill. Turns out I was right and all the crabs have gone insane. Utilising the brave tactic I did at the beginning of the video, I run past all of them through the destroyed castle straight to the queen. Turns out she was evil and I spent longer than I care to admit dying again and again and again. But then came the fateful moment I finally killed her. And by doing so, unlocked the ultimate attack, which honestly would have been useful for the last hour I was fighting her, but whatever. Hearing a noise, I look up and see the shark I've been chasing, who says only 0.2% of you are subscribed, so go and do that, but also that he's got my shell and he's going to sell it at the reef. So while I didn't get my shell back, I did complete the goal. It's a good game and you should definitely check it out. Make sure to subscribe, new videos every Sunday, and check out last week's video if you want to see me suffer more.